More than 20 sites hit, 30 top organizers arrested. Investigators say this wasn't vice, it was trafficking logistics. Tonight, we reveal who ran it.
It was infrastructure. Nearly $80 million worth of cocaine has already been stopped from entering the United States. Officials say enforcement is tightening and checkpoints are no longer routine. And then early and in force, the Fed showed up. Developing tonight, an historic drug bust tied, investigators say, to a long-running probe that's been quietly building for years. It started at exactly 2:17 in the afternoon. Heat waves rising off a gritty patch of interstate just outside San Antonio, Texas. Cars rolling by, engines humming, a high-stakes checkpoint in full operation, and then a massive 18-wheeler gets flagged. A refrigerated unit, pulled over for what looked like a run-of-the-mill inspection. To everyone cruising past, it was just red tape doing what red tape does. Nobody guessed this was the loose thread, the one that could unravel a deception worth billions. Stamped on the side of the trailer was a brand that didn't scream crime. Atlas National Logistics. Not a sketchy unknown outfit. A heavy weight on the highway. The kind of carrier that sits comfortably in the top tier nationwide. The kind that holds major contracts with America's biggest retailers. Walmart, Costco, Kroger. The kind of company that looks, on paper, like the backbone of American commerce. Behind the wheel, middle-aged, tired grin. He passes his CDL and a pristine manifest out the window. 25 tons of produce headed for the Midwest. Every line on that paperwork looks perfect. He's driven this lane more times than he can count. The reefer unit is humming along at exactly 34 degrees. By every visible metric, this is normal. This is America's supply chain doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But the K9 unit doesn't care about paperwork. Once the document check is done, the handler takes the dog for a lap around the rig. And then, right by the back tires, the dog plants, freezes, doesn't bark, doesn't play, just locks in like it's staring at something nobody else can see. The agents look at each other. That's the signal. Crates start coming out. Walls get scanned. Clean. Ceiling checked. Empty. But the dog won't trigger for no reason. So the team escalates. They roll out a mobile density scanner and aim it at the deck. And the display flares crimson. Because that floor isn't just aluminum and foam. It's thicker than factory specs. Significantly thicker. That's when gloves go on. Tools come out. Bolts get pulled. Heavy plating is wrenched back. And under the reefer deck, the insulation is missing. In its place, a sophisticated hydraulic trap. A false floor designed like a magic trick. Only this trick wasn't built for entertainment. It was built to move poison. Inside, vacuum-packed bundles arranged with machine-like accuracy. High-grade meth. And not a little. 100 kilograms in that single compartment alone. Agents on scene estimate street value in the millions. Just like that, a routine stop turns into a federal case. The driver is in cuffs instantly, trembling, voice cracking as they walk him to the roadside. And he keeps repeating the same line like he's trying to convince himself it's real. I haul produce. 6 years on this lane. I just haul produce. And here's the part that makes your stomach drop. Half an hour later, investigators start realizing he might not be lying. His record shows hundreds of thousands of accident-free miles, clean screenings, no obvious red flags. And forensics suggest the trap only opens if you move specific pallets in a precise order. A combination a regular driver may never know. That false floor rides on hydraulics, calibrated to fool way stations, built to survive inspections, meaning this wasn't a sloppy smuggler hiding contraband in his own rig. This was engineering. The truck was built to hide the payload from the trucker. And if one rig like this exists, then the terrifying question is obvious. How many more are out there right now? Not a handful. Potentially dozens, maybe more, rolling down interstates every day. Moving toxin beneath groceries, beneath produce, beneath the same shipments headed toward family tables. They didn't just find drugs. They found an infrastructure. Welcome back to this channel. Because what you're watching right now is the unmasking of Atlas National Logistics, at least the version investigators say was operating behind the clean branding. For over a decade, Atlas stood as an industry pillar. Hundreds of drivers, a sprawling Texas depot, squeaky clean audits, safety plaques, corporate polish, and behind it, investigators allege something far darker. That organized crime didn't just infiltrate a logistics company, it embedded into it, like a parasite that learns how to wear the host's face. And the strategy was brilliant and terrifying. Investigators believe a portion of the fleet was completely legitimate. Real deliveries, real routes, real paperwork. Because legitimacy is camouflage. But another slice of the fleet, priority units, were allegedly routed into a shadow garage, where mechanics didn't fix trucks. They modified them. Hydraulic traps, false floors, weight-calibrated compartments, built to move narcotics like it was inventory. And then comes the question that should bother everyone. How does an operation like this run for years without getting shredded by inspections? How do you beat DOT checks? How do you dodge zoning red tape? How do you stay clean in a world built to catch you? Investigators say the answer wasn't only tech. It was leverage, quiet corruption, discreet calls, fast-track permits, an inspector who suddenly has to leave. A flag load that suddenly becomes cleared. Not duffel bags of cash in dark alleys. Something smoother, something modern, something that looks like paperwork. And as the probe widened, investigators say they weren't staring at a shipping firm anymore. They were staring at a permanent pipeline. Not just trucks. A logistics hub allegedly connected to the coast. A place that looked like boring cold storage on paper. A gray building that sat quietly for years. Local eyes saw nothing. But federal eyes, drones, thermal imaging, surveillance, reportedly saw something that didn't make sense. Heat where there shouldn't be heat. A bloom that didn't match the story. And when teams broke deeper, investigators say they found evidence of something that shouldn't exist under a warehouse floor. A hardened subterranean passage, hundreds of feet long, reinforced, engineered, vents, lighting, rails to move heavy pallets at speed. Not a hole, a corridor, a supply artery, a tunnel that, if investigators' estimates are correct, could move massive volumes while skipping the normal choke points. And suddenly the mission changes. Because stopping one truck doesn't stop a pipeline. If you only hit the convoys, the machine buys more trucks. So investigators say they decided to kill the system in one sweep. Brain, heart, veins. They called it a shutdown. And when the green light flashed, just after 4 in the morning, while the interstates were pitch black, the country was sleeping, but the asphalt was about to turn into a battlefield. The first stop took under 90 seconds. A westbound Atlas reefer gets lit up by sirens on a Georgia road. The driver climbs down with coffee in hand, thinking it's a standard inspection. Before the wheels fully stop, agents swarm. Floorboards come up. And inside, shrink-wrapped bundles. Tagged, stacked, packaged like retail stock. Then it happens again, and again, over and over with scary timing. By 4:18 a.m., dozens of rigs have been pulled. By 4:41 a.m., the count surges higher. By 5 a.m., command is confirming action across a wide map. Multiple states, multiple teams, multiple hits. And while the road stops are ripping the supply chain apart, the second blade drops in Texas. In San Antonio, teams smash through the glass doors at Atlas National Logistics Headquarters, a building that survived years of audits without a scratch, now exploding into chaos. Glass flying, agents grabbing files off printers before the ink is dry. Executives who thought they were untouchable yesterday, suddenly face down on polished floors. No white-collar immunity, no special treatment, because investigators weren't treating this like a paperwork case. They were treating it like an enterprise. At the same time, the Corpus Christi facility gets hit. Armored vehicles slicing the night air. Teams moving toward concrete like they already know what's underneath. Explosives breach the foundation. They reach a hatch as crews try to weld it shut. Too late. Game over. And when the evidence starts getting counted, the numbers turn surreal. Investigators report tons of product recovered. Cash locked down. Large-scale arrests. And by lunchtime, the headline becomes impossible to ignore. 52 tons of meth seized. Millions of fentanyl pills. A street value pushed into the billions. 18 months of planning, compressed into a few hours of synchronized action. And in that moment, a truth becomes obvious. This wasn't just smuggling. This was a supply chain dedicated to poisoning the country. Hidden in produce, buried under steel, covered with paperwork, disguised as normal commerce. They thought they were faster than the feds. They thought they were smarter. They thought they were built to last forever. They couldn't have been more mistaken. By sunrise, the highway looks like a graveyard of branded rigs under armed watch. The logos already being peeled off. And out there, you've got drivers on the side of the road. Some who may have known the score. And plenty who look genuinely stunned watching careers evaporate in real time, realizing they've been driving alongside a monster without ever seeing its teeth. Calling this a raid feels too small. This was surgical removal. A hidden machine torn out before lunch. But here's the part most people don't understand. Winning the street fight is one thing. The real war starts in the data. Back in San Antonio, teams move into seized servers and storage racks. Because what they find on hard drives can turn a narcotics headline into a historic catastrophe. Hours of extraction, dozens of terabytes. At first it looks boring. HR files, performance charts, safety plaques. And then analysts cross-reference GPS logs with bank statements. And the pattern breaks open. Phantom runs. Trips that defy business logic. Miles added for no reason. Rigs parked for days in the middle of nowhere. On paper, it looks like incompetence. In reality, investigators say it can be laundering, billing schemes, fake repairs, manufactured expenses designed to keep transactions just under thresholds that trigger automatic alarms. Money that moves through legitimate lanes until it comes out clean. Not cash stuffed in walls. Paperwork stacked like a shield. And then comes the second bombshell. Not just money, people, names. Files that suggest a protective net, officials, boards, zoning, transport oversight, allegedly running interference. Not with violence, with signatures, with phone calls, with quiet pressure. The kind of corruption that doesn't look like corruption until you zoom out and realize it's an ecosystem. And when investigators match distribution routes to health statistics, they claim the correlation is a nightmare. A trail of destruction. Communities hit harder and faster. ER doctors seeing the same story on repeat. Kids collapsing on first use. Grandparents raising babies because parents are gone. No gunfire. No firefights. Just a silent cycle. A rig. A highway. A drop. And a town that changes forever. Days after the bust, one veteran agent stands near the confiscated trucks, stripped of names, chained down, and says something that lands like a verdict. They called this logistics. But logistics is supposed to move society forward. This did the reverse. It transported misery. It delivered heartbreak mile after mile, wiping out family trees. Atlas National Logistics, at least as investigators describe it, becomes history. The tunnel gets sealed. The trucks get impounded. Charges begin stacking. And the hunt for answers isn't over. Because of a company that clean, top-tier, big contracts polished image can allegedly run a pipeline under our noses, then the nightmare scenario is obvious. Who's driving beside you right now? And what's really under that load? So here's what I want you to do. If you agree that any public official who shields operations like this should face the same kind of punishment as the bosses they protect, smash the like button. Make it loud. Make it clear. Because selling out your community should come with a heavy price. Subscribe right now for part 2, because next we're breaking down the data war, how investigators map phantom runs, how money laundering hides inside expenses, and what happens when a full network starts flipping on itself. And comment one word: shut down. Because this isn't just a story, it's a warning. Keep your eyes on the road.